Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Chocolate Sane, 10th Man, Paul Hall, Righteous Force, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all.
Good morning.
Good morning. Have we all had a lovely, non-eventful lockdown weekend?
I was busy working.
Take that as a yes.
I'm still working, so I was enjoying my weekend being off. Not too much has changed for me, luckily.
Yeah, we discussed this before. Same here. Should we do a bit of housekeeping, though?
Mm-hmm.
Any signs of a physical Earth curve edge, formerly known as Earth curve?
Not from Vail, Colorado.
Any signs
Black Swan.
I was waiting for that. Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
We'd know it.
Any evidence of the distance to the Sun?
No evidence for the distance, but it's over there.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
I think Neil could say something about this.
Do you want to go over your... Go on,
No
Neil.
scientific evidence of gravity.
Do you want to go through bending a sheet metal example?
I got to get my son for that one. One day I'm going to get him on the show, Nathan. I think he's a
Fair
little intimidated by you, but I will get him on here one day.
Fair enough. Hey, Arwin, good to have you.
Hello.
Can I say, I was trying to say it at the end of the beginning of the after or the before show, but we know that light is bending from straight. That means it's going through a differential medium. When we only know that air and temperature variation and things, or even glass can bend light. So they're saying that space-time is a differential medium if it's light is bending from straight, right?
Sorry, yeah, that wasn't rhetorical, clearly. It's a conceptual medium. What are you going to bend?
Yeah, and how does a conceptual medium, how does it, what's the pressure difference? What's the temperature difference? What's the density gradient in this conceptual medium?
Well, I can just make it up. It's conceptual. I can give you the numbers
Whatever
if you
you
want.
think it is.
Yeah, but all those things are all like primary, and the medium really where it takes place virtually is in another layer. So it is like a new depth to the normal experienced reality. And well, Einstein then speculated that that was a factor of time in some way. So I don't know. Yeah, it's just that you can't really prove it because we're bound to I think even Einstein said it. We're literally in our experiences bound to the normal 3D reality in a linear fashion. So we can't technically experience pseudo-Riemannian force space, even if it was there, because it's like a preset to normal reality.
How about something being a reflective surface and just reflecting?
No, not
That's not-
surface. Space-time. Conceptual medium.
I'm talking about the sheet metal.
Why? Who cares? This is not what sheet metal debate.
I think he's talking about throwing the wrench in the works.
Look, while it might be
Also not-
fascinating to talk about light refracting, yes, light can refract. So what? What does this have to do with gravity?
Oh, right. Wasn't it speculated that if gravity is strong enough, multiple times supposedly stronger than the Earth's gravity, that it can even bend light out of whack? Right?
Well, gravity is
So
not a
they
force.
claim-
It's a bending of a conceptual medium. How many times am I going to have to
Yes.
say this?
Hang on. I was once blinded by a DeLorean going down the street. What's that all about?
What's going on? Is this another sheet metal joke?
It's not a joke. I mean, the sun hits the stainless steel of a DeLorean and it reflects. I'm just saying this is normal. Well, how does that prove gravity?
It doesn't prove or disprove it in any way, shape, or form. But thank you so much, 10th Man. This has been
You're welcome.
excellent input, as always. Right, should we move on? Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
None whatsoever.
Are they working on it? Like
They're not even working
the
on it.
scientific evidence that their entire field has any point, as a viable point.
It goes down really well at pseudoscience parties when you say things like that, I tell you. You do realise your entire profession is just bunk nonsense pseudoscience. You do realise that, don't you? Yeah, it goes down really well.
They'll just take another glass of champagne and forget about that you said that.
The bottom of that glass, God is waiting for them. Moving on.
Good comeback. Lovely.
Moving on. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Nope.
It's a very far away, fantastical imagination that has been artistically represented many times. But it's always been like a fantastical thought experiment about imagining what something would be like where you can never get, where you can never really see it or confirm it for real. But still,
Like
it
a
has
black-
apparently fascinated people for a long time because the pictures of it, sketches, and that has existed for some time.
Like a black hole, Arwen, that in the darkness of so-called outer space,
No.
you can see a black hole.
No. Black hole as a concept was invented much later, I think. It really was Einstein that did that in that period.
Right, but you can't see a black hole with a black background. So how in the world do you spot a black hole?
Red dwarf
You
joke.
calculated, but the molten iron core, I think that idea was much older. I think it. I don't know if we're to believe that Jules Verne was a real. That those things, those writings, that all that was real and not some fictional writer and all that, then you could consider that idea that there is like another realm beneath. He filled it in with all kinds of fantastical creatures and hollow earths and all that back then, apparently. But yeah, molten iron core was also among it. So people have been imagining what it would be like down there for a long time, way before the concept of black holes were thought up.
Wow. I was just
No
making a
scientific
compar-
evidence, though.
Thank you. That's where I was going.
That's the longest answer we've had on that question for quite some time. Any evidence of R, Earth radius?
Black swan.
No.
Another thought experiment? Another quasi-medium, maybe?
At best, they need to figure out what the radius of Earth actually is now. You
It
know,
doesn't have a radius.
well, in their model, they have to refigure it out. Like,
Well, that's set in
how do we
stone.
get R back in some way?
No, that's set in stone. That's never going to change. The model just crumbles when you debunk R. You can't vary R. I mean, within a minor, tiny tolerance, because they say it's an oblate spheroid. But beyond that, you can't vary R.
Right, but look, if you can blow up a death bubble for like a century, then maybe you could also blow up the radius in the model for a very long time, just gradually. You know, they blew up the supposed distance to the sun over centuries. Why wouldn't they be able to get away with blowing up the radius of the Earth? I know
Because
it doesn't
I'll
make
tell
any
you,
logical
there's a
sense.
reason. Because it
But they
throws
could
off.
do it.
I'll tell you, because it throws off everything. Your equator's suddenly in a different position. The transit of the sun throughout the season suddenly doesn't match up with anything spherical. So they're celestial observations, which have been back-engineered anyway. That's why it's spherical to begin with. But that presupposition is fixed with its R value to make all of the celestial observations work. So you can't just change R. Not least because it's supposed to be a physical sphere. You know, a rock, not growing and being pumped up and changing, but moreover, that rock is matching the celestial observations. So you can't diddle with R in that model.
I think they disagree with that, but also, like, what seasons? You think it's going to matter for seasons? Like, the season reasoning ever made sense on the original globe at any point?
No.
It's not going to matter a lot.
No.
Really.
Where do you think they get their equator from, Arwin? What's giving them their equator? Central point of their sphere. Right? It's the midpoint between the seasons of the sun, right?
Yeah,
Right.
that's what it
Right.
used to be.
Well, what's going to happen if you change R? Will that still be the midpoint? Oh, suddenly it won't match anymore. Well, that's why you can't change R. One of a million different reasons, to be perfectly blunt.
I don't know. I think that they may just go ahead and just mold the shape a little bit more, you know, maybe turn it more pear-shaped than it's already supposed to be or whatever, and they'll figure a way out to get it done. They'll
As I
just
say-
bend the mind on another level and get it done.
Well, as I say, you can't change it within a minor tolerance because of their claim it's oblate. But beyond that, no, you're not going to make a massive change to drastically change the radius. It has to match with everything else. It can't be changed. Just there's no changing it, Arwin.
Really? So it has to match with the tides caused by the moon, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever at this point. For example,
you're
know,
what he's
debunking
trying-
the
what
model.
he's trying to say-
You're criticising the model for its inconsistencies with the actual observed reality. It's irrelevant. Their R is fixed, not just in terms of its physical, supposed to be a rock size, but also in terms of what it matches up with. Their models and maps are based on R. Not just the ground, the sky.
No, Arvin, what he's trying to say is that if the horizon distance at the 1 foot observer height is 10 miles, the radius jumps from 3959 to 264,000. And we know the horizon distance actually further than 10 miles. So we're going to be bigger than the sun at some point when we get an actual reading of where that horizon is. Of course, it's apparent and it's not there as you go towards it, it keeps moving. But using the oil platforms and just setting that 10-mile mark, it's 264,000 miles the radius. How can you be off by that much?
Well, it's just no longer geometric. It's not the geometric edge of a sphere. The horizon is not a sphere edge. That's what we've debunked with the Black Swan. It's by their own standards now. They're telling us how non-geometric it is. Well, that's game over. You know, with the fundies, you then have to point out why it's game over, but it doesn't alter the fact that once it stops being a geometric sphere edge, it's no longer a geometric sphere edge. That's the end of a geometric sphere model. It requires a geometric sphere edge. That's what their horizon is. Like I say, they deny it at ground level, but it's kind of irrelevant. Doesn't matter what the fundies say here. They require a geometric sphere edge. Them saying, no, we don't, just laugh at them.
Well said.
Last but by no means least, any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container.
No,
Nathan?
no evidence.
I,
We hear
I
you,
think
yeah.
technically that the heliocentric model does not actually claim that, even though the way they divide the gas pressure and the lack of thereof in their model conceptualization does seem a little out of whack. You know
A
what I
little
mean?
out of whack. Violates natural
Yeah.
law.
But the universe is the container. It's just that the way they divide the gradients in there doesn't make a lot of sense, really, at this point. No.
Okay.
I thought I proved the gas pressure without container.
You thought who proved that?
Chike.
Sorry, what was your question?
Should we go through the experiment of gas without container again?
Should we go to the experiment without container again? There are no demonstrations of gas pressure without a container.
I think he knows which one
Which
he means.
experiment are you referring to?
I think
sir?
it's the one titled gas pressure
Okay.
without a container, where a container is used, because that's all of them.
Yeah, I want to hear him say it.
We talked about it. Gas
That's very
pressure
vague.
in your room,
Just
gas
tell us.
pressure in your room is higher at your feet than at your head.
And where did you get the gas pressure from in the first place?
Gravity.
Pardon?
Oh
You got the gas pressure from gravity.
Yeah.
Sorry, gravity's not a force. It's the bending of a conceptual medium. It's not giving rise to gas pressure. So my question
It
again,
does.
where are you getting the gas pressure from in the first instance?
Gravity.
Sorry, I just explained that that's a bending of a concept. It's not giving rise to gas pressure. You're not going to find a citation that says that gravity is giving rise to gas pressure. Wrong. That's not
I
correct.
proved it to you.
So you've shown it to me.
But by saying gravity?
I think there's wiki.
Hold on,
thing
Owen.
about that.
What do you mean you've proven it to us? What have you shown us that demonstrates gas pressure without a container?
Gas pressure gradient. I proved it to you. You can test it yourself.
Sorry, gas pressure gradient is a delta of gas pressure, and you cannot have gas pressure without a container. For the third time, where are you getting the gas pressure in the first place?
Gas pressure is always a delta.
Gas pressure is what, sorry?
Always a delta.
Gas pressure is always a delta. Sorry, a delta of what?
Delta of pressure.
What?
Can't hear him, Arwin, because you're talking.
Sorry.
A delta of what?
A delta of pressure.
Sorry, you're saying gas pressure is a delta of pressure because you've got both words gas and pressure in the same description. What's pressure?
Yes.
Well, okay, fine, it's a delta of pressure. What's pressure? The force exerted on the walls of a container?
Force.
Exerted on the walls of a container?
On anything.
A
Container.
container?
Not container.
Well, not anything, a
Force.
container. Something to contain the gas. You're still not answering or addressing the original question, which would be where are you getting gas pressure from in the first instance, given that your appeal to gravity dictates that you are a heliocentrist, and therefore you believe the sky is a vacuum? We'd never develop gas pressure if that was the case. So where are you getting the gas pressure from, given that you believe the sky is a available volume for that gas to fill? Where are we getting gas pressure from in the first place?
From gravity.
Gravity isn't an antecedent for pressure. A container is.
Pressure does not need it.
Pressure doesn't what?
Do your feet press on the
Are my feet gas? Sorry, this is a false equivalence. We're talking about gas. not my feet. They're solid.
No, it's not the fault equivalence.
It's not gas. My feet aren't gas. What they do when they press isn't what gas does when it presses. It expands in all directions.
Please, let's hear the definition.
Oh, my bad.
Let's hear the definition.
Right, where are you getting the gas pressure from in the first place? We all know what gas pressure is. Where are you getting it from, given that the sky's a vacuum? 5th time I've asked.
I don't think he can define gas pressure. That's what the problem is.
I've defined it.
Yeah, I don't think he's
You
following.
don't define
He
anything.
just keeps saying gravity.
Yeah, gravity's not a force. It's got sod all to do with gas pressure. He's just wrong. We've told him that. We've explained what gravity is, therefore isn't a necessary antecedent for gas pressure, unlike a container. And he's got a sky vacuum belief. I want to know where he's getting the pressure to describe this delta of gas pressure, which is the gradient he started off explaining. Well, okay, yeah, we might have a gas pressure gradient in certain circumstances. That's fascinating. Where do we get the gas pressure from in the first place, given that you believe the sky is an available volume for that gas to fill? We wouldn't have gas pressure in that case.
Gravity.
You keep
Force
babbling
of
gravity. Gravity's not a force. So what's it got to do with gas pressure? That's the force a gas exerts on the walls of its container. It's all to do with gravity. It's not developing any containment, which is what you require to have gas pressure. Gravity is not a rebuttal. Hello?
Nathan, can I have the definition for pressure?
The force exerted on the walls of a container. Are you deaf?
Pressure? I didn't ask gas pressure.
We're
Pressure.
talking about
What
gas
is-
pressure.
We're talking about gas, dude.
I realise you need to make a little false equivalence here, don't you? You need to equivocate something that's got weight, like my feet. Well, my feet don't expand in all directions to fill an available volume. Gas does. We're breathing gas. Now, gas fills an available volume, and space, your sky vacuum, is, by definition, an available volume for the gas to fill. Now, given you're asking me about a delta of gas pressure, I want to know how the hell we've got any gas, given that you think this black area on screen for my audience is a vacuum, and these clouds here aren't expanding into this vacuum. Well, that's a violation of several natural laws.
Name one.
Boyle's law.
Which
Are we done here? Or are you just going to keep repeating gravity, which is not a force and will not contain gas?
obviously it does. What is
Show
the
me.
definition
Oh, really?
for
Show me.
pressure?
No worries.
Where's
No
the key in the
worries.
formula?
No worries. Demonstration, please, of gas pressure being maintained without a container by way of gravity beyond your fundamentalist religious assertion that the sky is a vacuum. Please demonstrate gas pressure without a container by way of gravity. Go.
Pressure gradient.
That's not gas pressure without a container by way of gravity. That's a delta of gas pressure. First containment, then gas pressure gradient. So an appeal to a gradient doesn't address the requirement for a container, and your fundy belief that the sky is a vacuum. So we've got a vacuum, hugely powerful 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum of space, and gas pressure without containment. Now, that's not real. That's just your religious belief. There's no proof of it, and your fundy assertion of gravity will not maintain gas pressure without a container.
Is this a lecture or a debate?
Well, what have you got beyond gravity, which I've taken to pieces by way of its conceptual nature? Not doing anything in reality, it's just a concept. And when I point out this, you talk. Debate or me taking a strip off you? Yeah, it's me taking a strip off you. That's right. You haven't got very much in the way of debate because your only assertion is gravity. Something you've got off the telly. Something that isn't real. It's conceptual, not real. Meanwhile, we're asking about gas pressure. I want to know why this dude in the movie Gravity, portraying an astronaut, has got a spacesuit on and needs containment to keep his gas pressure on, yet the giant ball at massive pressure below him doesn't. It's a nonsense. It's a violation of natural law. And all you've got to assert is bending concepts as a rebuttal. So yeah, I'm going to take a strip off you. You've got nothing.
I got pressure gradient. Where is the container?
That's a delta. A delta of gas pressure. How can you have gas pressure without a container? How can you have a gas pressure gradient without a container? Show me a gas pressure gradient without a container by way of gravity. Go, show it me.
Open air, outside. Where is the container?
Where'd you get the gas pressure from in the first place, being that I go outside and see blue sky, and in your religion that's claimed to be a space the gas can fill? 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum. When I go outside, that's what your religion claims the sky is. So how am I breathing any gas? If the sky is a vacuum, clearly it's not a vacuum, or I wouldn't be breathing. So going outside absolutely affirms my argument, because in your worldview, the sky is a vacuum.
Where is the container?
Where's what container? Your claim is the sky is a vacuum. I haven't got a clue what the sky is. I know we've got gas pressure, and I know by way of natural law that requires containment. The necessary antecedent for gas pressure is a container. So I, by natural and logical inference, can infer we are most definitely contained. Do I know what the sky is? No. And I'm not making any positive assertions in that regard. But most of the Western world, including you, are under the foolish misapprehension that the sky is a vacuum, an available volume for gas to fill.
Nathan, where is the pressure gradient from?
Where is the pressure gradient? How have we got gas pressure if the sky is a vacuum? Who cares about a gradient? You can't have a gradient either if the sky was a vacuum.
Of course you can.
No, the gas would fill the space. Entropy would increase. It's called the second law of thermodynamics. Boyle's law.
Show me, Nathan.
Boyle's law dictates the pressure based on the volume of the container. These are natural laws.
Show me, Nathan.
Why are you telling me to show you anything? You haven't answered my question. How do we have gas pressure here, given that your sky is a vacuum?
Show me the pressure is equalized in a container.
I didn't claim equalisation.
Sound like a
So that's a
troll.
straw man. One more logical fallacy, I'm going to have to kick you out.
No, that's not a straw man.
I did. What? Sorry,
I
did
tell
I
you pressure
use the
gradient,
word
you say
equalised?
no.
Sorry, when did I use the word equalised? Did I say we live in equal pressure?
Yes, you said something about...
No, I didn't. That's a lie. Do you want to quote me? I'm going to kick you out if you now lie again. I did not say anything about us being at equal pressure.
What caused the pressure?
Why are you now asking me a question after lying about me? You just claimed I said it. Something like, I'm going to remove you if you don't quote me, because you've just said I said something that implied an equal pressure everywhere. Absolutely ludicrous. I've never made such a claim. Are you going to quote me or am I going to kick you out? Is it resort to lie when you're losing? Make up quotes I haven't used? No, I haven't said that, mate. You just lied about me because you're losing badly with your sky vacuum belief.
Hold on. I look for it in the...
Look for it? You've just said I said it. What do you mean look for it? You should know it. So you're just making shit up. Why am I hearing nothing? Why aren't you rattling off the quote you just rattled off and claimed I used? Something about everything being equal pressure. Why have you not got this to hand? You've just claimed I said it. Hello? So, do I need to make something up about you and then go silent for a prolonged period and say I'm going to look for it? You've just said I said something, mate. Are you useless to us now? What the hell is going on? We're in a land where people will just make something up to make a straw man argument work. So based on his decision that I've decided that we have equal pressure everywhere, despite him not having a quote from that, what, we're going to just move on with him total silence having declared that complete crap with no quote?
Nathan, can I ask him a question about?
Yeah, I'm done with him.
Nah,
What are the different things that can affect gas pressure? What are the different factors?
Well, how much is producing it? How high you are? How far away you are from the source it's being produced at?
Temperature is also another one, right?
Sure.
how about relative density? It's gonna have an influence.
Size of the container.
No, that's what we're talking about, the relative density.
Right. But you could even argue that that little g, or it would be an effect, that it has an influence on the way matter is distributed within the realm. It's just that if you are gonna use that to try to assert that there's supposedly an outer space vacuum out there, that's when none of it starts to work anymore. That's really the problem.
Well, the reason I asked that question is none of those descriptions have gravity in it. None of them, not one. That all those factors can account for gas pressure at some level, but none of it has anything to do with gravity.
Guy was
Did
a
the guy
mindless
disappear?
robot.
Did he
Yeah,
disappear?
it disappeared.
What
His
is-
arguments had nothing.
He just ran out
No,
of
sorry, I
argument.
didn't disappear. I can't find it in this.
What, the quote that you made up about me? I've never said there's
Wow.
equal pressure
Yes,
everywhere.
the quote.
I've never said
You'll
there's
see
equal
after.
pressure everywhere. That's just because you wanted to attack a straw man. So you made up a lie about a quote I had so that you could attack a straw man about it being equal pressure everywhere. Well, no, that's just a straw man you decided to make up a quote about.
Okay, I made a mistake. Where
Okie
is
dokie
the
then.
pressure gradient coming from?
Where's the gas pressure gradient coming from? Well, from having a necessary antecedent of containment.
No, why there is a
What
gradient?
do you mean, no? Yeah. First containment, then gas pressure gradient. You can't have a gas pressure gradient without a container. You haven't shown us gas pressure gradients without containment. You've not shown us anything. However, you're fighting against natural law. So, gonna do really well when describing, what, a violation of natural law? A sky vacuum? Yeah, that violates natural law. We've got, as flat earthers, natural law on our side. You've got gravity, pseudo-Ramonian force space, the bending of a conceptual medium dreamt up by a man named Einstein. That's what you've got. The words of some guy. We've got natural law. You've got some dude's words. That's what you've got, mate. Okay? Now, you might not like me telling you that your religion's based on the words of some dude with his tongue out and some fuzzy hair. Yeah, you may not like that. But we've got natural law here. If the sky was a vacuum, the gas would fill the space. Ergo,
Says
the
who?
sky... Shut the fuck up! Interrupting me, you little prick. Make up quotes about me, prick. Now I'm going to tell you, your lie of a sky vacuum is just a religious belief. And your only rebuttal is some words from some dude who made up some stuff about bending concepts. That's your only rebuttal. We've got natural law. You've got essentially nothing.
Gravity
Nathan,
is
you could-
natural law.
You could share my screen. I've got a differential pressure in the contained system on screen.
It's also been demonstrated by Zachary Sabala. Just heated a very long container and had two valves in it. One showed a different pressure to the other because it was very cold at one end and very hot at the other. It was really, well, I say really easy, relatively straightforward to do. You can absolutely have a gas pressure gradient in a container.
Well, like, how would this guy on the screen?
can.
How would he
What
have
is the
this
cause?
flame Hang on, I'm talking. How would he have this flame showing differential pressure without the tube? Please explain.
He needs a container. It's a necessary antecedent. This guy wants us to now argue about how we have a gas pressure gradient, when our question is how can you have a gas pressure without a container? But he wants us to argue about how we achieve gas pressure gradients now, like it's relevant to the sky vacuum and outer space not being real, because you can't have that gas pressure we breathe without a container. But he wants to argue about gradients, like they all do. So long as he can get us arguing about gradients, he doesn't have to justify how we have gas pressure when his belief is that the sky is a vacuum. There'll be a long pause, maybe he'll talk through it, but it violates natural law to have a sky vacuum. If the gas we breathe was not contained, it would fill the available volume it has to fill, and the sky vacuum is an immense volume available for the gas to fill, and fill it would, dictated by entropy, a natural law.
I'd also like to ask him, what is the available microstates of the sky? What is that, please? Can you tell me?
A lot. Do you know what a microstate is? Just take that as a no, Paul.
Okay, we're done, I think.
Yeah, we were done when he used the pseudoscientists to negate natural law. That's when we were done.
Fun though.
They're desperate.
It
Maybe
does
he's
wrong.
new to this. Like he doesn't realize that the gradient's not like an actual argument or rebuttal against our question. I mean, I know most of them don't realize it, but I don't know. He seems to be very new at this. Like he's just throwing it out there. Great, gravity, gradient, gravity, gradient. It's like can't prove gravity, and yeah, gradient. That's nice. We're asking you how we have a gradient in the first place. Might want to address that.
Wasted hour.
Yes, how do we have a gradient? I never had an answer for this.
Yeah, because we've got containment. Yeah, because you'd require a containment. I did explain it.
Show
You did
me.
get an
Show
answer.
me
Now you're talking
containment.
through me while I give you the same answer again. You did get an answer. First, I'll speak slower. First, you have a container. Then you can achieve gas pressure, the thing we're asking about. Then you can have a gas pressure gradient. On screen for my audience, a demonstration from Paul of a gas pressure gradient. Surprisingly, utilising a container. I also detailed a gas pressure gradient being achieved by Zachary Sabala, otherwise known as Good Times for All, GUDTIMS number 4 ALL, where he creates a gas pressure gradient, surprise, surprise, in a container. We've also asked you, given that you've asked us how we have gas pressure gradients, we've incorporated your question into our question and said, how can you have a gas pressure gradient without a container? If you want to talk about gas pressure gradients, a delta of our question, then we're going to ask you the same question in response. How can you have a gas pressure gradient without a container? The answer is you cannot.
Says who?
I've got the video.
Says
I've got the video
natural
on
law,
screen.
says the second law of thermodynamics, says Boyle's law. As explained to you, you just don't listen. And then you claim we haven't told you. Then we give an explanation of it. Then we ask you about microstates. Long, stony silence when detailing the second law of thermodynamics to you. You haven't got a vaguest idea what the second law of thermodynamics even is. So why are you even talking to us? You're dumb.
What is it? I'm dumb.
Don't
You know who
ask me
also-
to give
you
you
know
a...
who also
I
said
haven't
that?
sat through about 20 hours of MIT lectures on the second law of thermodynamics to detail it to a dipshit like you. I'm not interested. Your sky is a vacuum, a violation of this very well defined, very well established, very well taught natural law. Now, the fact that you don't know what this natural law is and you believe the babblings of an insane man with his tongue out who talks about concepts as a defence doesn't mean that I've got to now educate you on what this natural law is. No. It violates your fundamentalist sky vacuum belief though, mate. Maybe you need to go away and spend a bit of time with the boring MIT lecturers telling you about the second law of thermodynamics. Be my guest. I'm not going to educate you. I think you're a total wanker. I've got no time for you. You're a moron who thinks the sky is a vacuum, and you can only parrot and rebut me with gravity and gas pressure, gradient, delta of gas pressure, at nausea. So shut up.
Nathan, I showed you pressure gradient. You didn't.
Oh, did you? You showed it me by going outside, and I pointed out that your sky's a vacuum. Mutter, mutter. Yeah, you said to go outside as a demonstration. I then pointed out that in your fundamentalist religious zealot worldview, where you think you're on a spinning ball flying through a vacuum, your sky is a vacuum, a vast space for the gas to fill. And fill it must. It's dictated by natural law. How many bloody times?
You didn't show a container.
What's this guy's name?
Didn't I? I'm not making a claim about what the sky is. Me as an individual, have I made a claim about... Shut up! I am talking! Don't strawman me. I've not made a claim about what the sky is. However, you and the majority of the Western world are under the misapprehension that the sky is a vacuum. Me? I'm not making any claims and I don't need to. I can just take a giant steaming dump on the entire Western world's fundamentalist religious belief that the sky is a vacuum. It's not. It violates natural law. No requirement from me whatsoever to tell you or anybody what the sky is in order to dismantle your religious belief.
We have gas pressure on the Earth.
Yeah, therefore we must have containment. You can't have gas pressure without a container. How many bloody times? You saying that, yeah, we've got gas pressure. What's your next appeal? Therefore the sky must be a vacuum. No, mate, that violates natural law. I've said it about 16 times.
No, I didn't say the sky must be a vacuum.
It's part of the Western world's religion. Now, you are part of that religion. Do I care that you as an individual may or may not agree with this Western world religion? No, mate. It's called heliocentrism. I don't care what you think. Your belief about what the sky is inconsequential, about as inconsequential as my belief about what the sky is. We're not challenging you, you pathetic little muppet. You think we care what your view is? No, mate, you're a pathetic nobody and we literally care not what you think about the sky. However, there is definitely a Western world religious worldview that it's a bloody vacuum. And you're part of that little worldview, aren't you, muppet?
We have gas pressure.
We have gas pressure, and the sky, therefore, in my worldview, is a vacuum, therefore must violate natural... Shut up, mate.
Container, I said. I didn't talk about...
Yeah, we need a container. Your sky's a vacuum. That's the end of this argument.
You need. I don't need.
I don't need anything. I've got gas pressure, and natural law dictates that you require containment. So my argument could very well be, I can walk outside and breathe gas pressure. Therefore, natural law dictates that there must be containment. That's a perfectly plausible argument. Your argument is go outside, therefore the sky is a vacuum. No, that violates the natural law I could use to make a claim about containment and the sky being said containment. I don't need to make that claim. I'm dismantling a religious worldview of a sky vacuum by pointing out that that worldview is violating natural law.
You make a claim. We need a container.
Yeah, it's natural law, not a claim I need to prove. Inviolable natural law, not a claim. If you think I'm claiming that we need gas pressure without a container, dipshit, show me it without. Go.
Yes. Here outside. Go.
That's your fundy religious worldview belief that the sky is a vacuum. That's not a demonstration of gas pressure without a container. That's your belief in a second law of thermodynamics violation, not proof.
Tell me about this second law of thermodynamics.
Why? Why should I educate you, a complete wanker? I don't need to educate your dumbass on the second law of thermodynamics. It is natural law whether you are ignorant of it or not.
No, it's...
Yeah, you're done here, mate. Go away and learn what the second law of thermodynamics is. Learn what a microstate is, maybe.
Don't...
No, you're done, buddy. You're just trolling now.
Yeah, just shut up.
I'm not trolling. I'm asking
just
for the
need to
container.
shut up.
You
You just need to shut up. Why? When anybody asks me why I've got to mute these assholes, this is why. He's done. He's clearly been demolished. Now he can't shut up. It's not like you, the least informed person who's asking us for an education in the second law of thermodynamics, needs to babble on and hold the mic incessantly. You are done. Finished. Now just shut up.
Look,
the problem is the arguments got too advanced for some of the new guys.
Now he won't shut up. One more time, and I feel perfectly justified in removing you from the conversation. I'll allow you, for the time being, to wait for a new conversation to develop between other people that aren't you, and maybe you'll have something to interject with. But I've told you about 5 times, this is done. You are done. You are finished. Shut up. How many more times? It's not a question I need an answer to. It's rhetorical. That means just close your mic, pop yourself on mute, wait for something that you might have something useful to say on. Ah, much better. It is nice, though, having natural law on your side when you argue these points. You know, pointing out their pseudoscience and then arguing from a position of absolute certitude, inviolable natural law. It works for me. I like being a flat earther when it comes to things like this.
Yeah.
A weird position to be in.
Lite.
Oh, was that
Oh
was that the other dude? Was that you piping up again, dude?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why?
Bro, I mean, are you serious, man? Like, do you have anything else besides we have a pressure gradient? Because we're asking you, yeah, gradient. How do we have that in the first place?
You don't have
the
a
gas pressure first. What?
No, you don't. No, you don't.
You don't
Can
what?
we talk about the
You don't what?
What you think you're not going to dictate which route this conversation takes? No, mate. You really aren't getting this, are you? Last chance. No, you're not going to start producing the show because you've been smashed. What? This is a common theme, right? Answer me this, guys, in the panel. Have you noticed this? When someone gets absolutely obliterated, they then feel that it's their place to take on the production of the show and dictate which way the direction of the show should be going. It beggars belief, the arrogance of these idiots. You've just had your ass handed to you. You think you should decide what conversation comes up next? No, mate, you should just be shutting up. Shout out to Rob L. Nathan, this guy is not able to have an independent thought. I don't know, he doesn't recognise when he's getting smashed, that's for sure. Thank you for the super chat, Rob L. Really appreciate it. Yeah, it's a weird one because the general Western world feels very safe in their assertions that the Earth's a sphere, and even safer in their assertions of their pseudoscience, gravity, and things of that nature. Well, when it comes to getting down to the nitty-gritty of being the ridiculed flat earther, you sat here in ridicule, and you've got natural law on your side. It's a weird position to be in, you've got to admit.
I mean, can I ask the guy, like, are you new to this argument, or, I mean, what is your understanding? Because I don't understand how you're arguing for a pressure gradient, but you're not even understanding what entropy would dictate. in your model.
What would entropy dictate? Tell me.
Hold on,
Yeah,
got
second
a
law of
new guest.
thermodynamics.
Just 1 second. We've got Rumpus. I didn't see you there, Rumpus. Hello.
Hello, Nathan. I was just wondering whether you thought it was a natural law that
here
high
we
gas
go.
pressure went to low gas pressure.
That's entropy.
Can't
You're
hear.
describing an entropy increase.
Am I too quiet?
You're describing an entropy increase.
Right, so let's go there, try that again. Do you believe that it's a natural law for high pressure to go to lower pressure?
You've just described... I'm going mad. Just answered this. You've just described an entropy...
I asked the question.
Now he's talking through me, so he's got to be removed. So I've described it to him. He's ignored me completely. I've tried to repeat it, and he's talked through the repetition because he doesn't want to hear the actual answer. He's just described an entropy increase. That's what he's just described. What, you think you got some gotcha there, do you, Rumpus? I'll take you off mute and see what you think you might have had there. Let's see how we get on.
Is it a natural law that high gas pressure goes to low gas pressure?
That would be an entropy increase. You're describing part of the entropy law, specifically an increase in entropy.
So the answer is yes, it is a natural law then for high gas pressure to go to lower gas pressure.
It's part... Sorry, it's just misrepresented what I've said. Did I say that was a natural law, or did I describe part of a natural law, specifically an entropy increase? The entropy law speaks to this specifically as being an entropy increase. Is that 4 times I've said that, panel? Is that 4 times?
That's 4 times. But Nathan, why are you even going there? He doesn't believe that the second law applies to the Earth to begin with. So why is he having this conversation with us?
Good question, Paul. Maybe you'd like to ask him that. Ask him.
Exactly.
Okay, then, is it part of natural law then that high gas...
Does it apply to the Earth?
Second law of
the
thermodynamics apply to the Earth.
Let's try it again. Is it part of something?
I've asked you a question, right? You've been asked by 2 other people. I've answered you. You've not acknowledged my answer. You've talked through my answer. I've repeated my answer 4 times. Now we're damn well going to ask you something, you moron. You think this law of nature doesn't apply to the Earth, don't you, moron?
Is it part of natural
Now
law?
you're ignoring our questions. It seems I've answered his question 4 times. And the unbelievable prick wants to only ask us things. So are you a coward, Rumpus? Can't you be answering questions? Is it only asking them? Do you believe that I'm now being talked to... Well, I'll repeat the question. He doesn't want to answer because he's scared of it.
I'm more than happy
Do you... Well, then shut up. I've got to put him on mute to ask the question. Let's see if he ignores it. That's 2 attempts. Paul, do you want to ask the question again? Or chocolate?
Yeah, does the second law of thermodynamics apply to the Earth, Rumpus?
I'll answer that in just a couple of seconds because I haven't had my question
Yeah,
answered.
you can fuck right off. Bye-bye. You're no longer part of the conversation. I answered your question 4 times. You can't answer it because we know. We've already got many quotes from you saying the second law, a natural law, of thermodynamics doesn't apply to the Earth. And I loosely translate that as the second law of thermodynamics violated in the Earth model doesn't apply to the Earth model because it's violated in it. That's what he actually means. He can't answer, does it apply? Because it doesn't apply to his model. It can't apply to his model because his model violates it. Simple.
Is that what you meant, Rumpus?
I removed him.
Dynamics doesn't
I've
apply
removed
to your
him.
model.
I've removed him. He's not prepared to answer our questions. He's only prepared to ask them. And when he gets an answer, ignore the answer, have it repeated 4 times, and then declare he hasn't had an answer to the question. Because he hasn't had the gotcha that he wanted? Well, no, afraid not. I've got a good understanding of the second law of thermodynamics. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be educating anybody in it, especially if they're a moron. But it doesn't mean that Rumpus is going to get a gotcha over me with it. This law of nature applies, and he thinks it doesn't. Simple. Got Zanik. Hey, Zanik.
Oh wow, we're just going through the whole rogues today.
I know, he's gone. He's legged it. I know, there he is. Hey, Zanik. Long time.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
What's up, Zanuck?
What's up, guys? You guys are just beating up on everybody
Morning,
this
Zanuck.
morning. You guys are on a rampage.
Don't rumpus him. Say that again, Zonic. Hopefully you won't get
You
interrupted.
guys are on a rampage this morning. You're beating up on everybody.
Yeah, we are, yeah.
You guys wake up on the wrong side of the bed or something?
Not at all.
Maybe
I'm in
you
a
can
very
do
good
better.
mood. I'm very happy, actually. Far from it.
I mean, it's Monday morning. I have my coffee. You know, that's what we do. We at work.
Zanuck, are you gonna offset natural law too?
There's no ever an offset of natural law. Natural law is always there. It's always present. It's always in action.
Glad you agree. Your friend Rumpus thinks the second law of thermodynamics doesn't apply to the Earth.
Do you remember what he said when he actually mentioned that? 'Cause I've heard that a few times from the group. I wasn't there when he said it, but did he actually say that the second law doesn't apply to the Earth?
I'll quote him.
And Ball Busters, you can play it for him.
Sure. Good timing.
Yeah, play the clip.
Second law of thermodynamics does not apply to the Earth.
There you go.
I don't know. I'm just devil's advocate. Could have just been a snippet of what he said in the middle of a sentence, or when he was intending to say something a little more than that.
No, he said it multiple times.
Okay.
What, you need context?
Well, that's important in science, isn't it?
Yeah, he's talking about...
It's important in science. You don't even know what science is, you clown.
Was he doing science? My bad. Jeez, I had no idea.
What's the attack? I say 2 words and then suddenly I'm attacked for not knowing science. What don't I know? What
Second law
don't I
of
know about science?
thermodynamics has nothing to do with science. Can you show the second law or the second theory of thermodynamics?
The second theory of the second what?
Yeah,
I mean, the second law of
natural
thermodynamics?
laws don't have
We're
anything
energy,
to do
about energy flow.
with science.
It's how it's science.
No, how it's
natural
not science.
laws do not have anything. Shut up.
That was me. Sorry.
Natural
say
laws
anything.
have nothing to do with science. They don't enter the scientific method, bozo.
Really?
Yeah, really. Do you want to go through it?
You tell me how natural laws of science don't have anything to do with science.
They're descriptions. The scientific method has to do with explanations of cause and effect. Can you cause and effect entropy for us?
He's going to get to answer that in the after show, because I'm going to do a quick shout out to Leapin4J. He's sent me 2 super chats. The first saying, "Welcome, Rumpus," and "Goodbye, lol." And he also says, "You missed my first super chat." Laughy face. Thank you very much indeed, Leapin4J. Really appreciate your support. And of course, a massive thank you to today's Discord and G Plus Panels for making today's live show possible. A massive thank you to you on the live audience for smashing the super chat, hopefully liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to stay tuned. If you are watching on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, as there will be an after show to follow. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!